and welcome to another video. Please remember to like, share and subscribe. Just throwing that one out there before we get into things. Now today we have a much anticipated and much waited past paper question that we're going to be tackling, and this one is from the year 2025. All right, now this is the building option or the building drawing sections or paper, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to be examining, evaluating as well as completing this task today. Now I believe this paper is separated into three sections somewhat. The main portion, then a sub portion, and then the sketching design. What I'll be doing is that I'll be separating them into three individual videos, so look out for those. They will be linked down in the description. They will be in a playlist as well, and the work drawing or the AutoCAD file of the drawing that I'm going to be doing is going to be linked in the description down below, as well as a PDF version of it. Please look out for the multiple choice papers that are coming up. It will be the same treatment. The questions will be linked in the description, or the papers with the answers selected. Alright, so let's get into things and see what this one has in store for us. Now let's scroll down. As you can see, usual treatment up top, and we're going to the first portion. So it says that section 1, working drawing, do not spend more than 2 hours on this section. We're looking to spend, I'm probably looking to spend about 45 minutes to an hour on this section here. Alright, so let's see what we have to do. It says figure 1 on the enclosed sheet shows a line drawing of the floor plan for a dance studio. Do not reproduce or draw the given line drawing or floor plan. Understood? That's not what they wanted to do. Here's what they wanted to do. A1. Draw to a scale of 1 in 20 the partial section elevation. So they want the partial sectional elevation through the portion at AA, so that you'll find it on the drawing, as shown in figure 1, to include the following: reinforced concrete footing, foundation wall, concrete floor slab and hardcore, suspended floor, wood patio joist, wall and column, window and patio, handrail, rafter, lath, purlin, and roofing material, overhang and fascia. That's a lot. Alright, so they wanted to do a sectional drawing of wherever that section plane is. First time I'm looking at this question. Someone sent this to me. Now, if anybody out there has the mechanical paper from 2025, please forward that to me, and I'll be more than happy to complete and add the files to the channel as well. Now, all of that, once you have all of this here, you'll get 40 marks. Alright, if you label the components, you'll get another somewhat marks. So I'm assuming that it would be 18 divided by 3, whatever that is. And if you show 3 vertical dimension, again it's an elevation, so the only dimension that you're really capturing on elevations are vertical dimensions anyway. Print a suitable title and the scale used. All you're going to do is write this. You're going to write section elevation through patio AA, and then you're going to add the scale underneath it. Alright, just 1 in 20. Alright. Section B, we're not going to be focusing on that now, because our main video, or this video, will be on this here to get this what's that, 58 marks. Alright, so let's see what the drawing has in store for us. Let's scroll down to our drawing, and again here we have our specification sheet, so we'll be pulling on this information here. Before we get into things, let me read it, because I don't want to spend more than 5 minutes on explaining all of this here. So standard drawing practice as usual should be employed. Foundation, here is the specification: foundation block wall, 200 millimeter, foundation trip footing 300 by 800 millimeter, floor slab 150 millimeters thick, patio wood floor joist is 50 millimeters by 150, column is 200 by 200, and that's concrete. Handrail, this is the, let's see, 900 millimeter from patio to floor slab, from above patio to floor slab. Alright, let's see how that goes. So the handrail is that height. Wall, exterior wall is 150. Window, here are the two window. Is it two window? 1200 millimeter by 1200 millimeter. 300 millimeter above the floor slab. Oh, so this is the sill height. All right. Roofing material is metal sheet. Wooden lat purling, here is the dimension for that, 50 millimeters by 75. Wooden rafter, that's 50 by 150. Hurricane straps and clip also included or should be drawn. Then we have the overhang. So it seems as if there's two overhang here. So it's saying that I'm guessing this is the main the width on the main building. This is the overhang, and on the patio it is 270. Fascia board is 20 millimeters thick by 200 millimeters wide. Alright, so let's look at our drawing now. Alright, so this is our floor plan, and we're at 6 minutes now, so we're on good timing. This is our floor plan. Alright, let me see if I can maybe zoom out a bit so you can see. Let me see, flip it that way. Alright, like this, and then could probably, let me just zoom out a bit. Alright, so as you can see, we have section A. So what we're doing is actually here, the section. So what will we see when we cut it here? Now, which direction are you looking? You're looking in the direction of wherever the arrow is pointing. For example, you're seeing the arrow is here, so you're looking to your right. So you're on the left hand side and you're looking to the right. So whatever you'll see, as you can see, it cuts through. I'm assuming that this is a door. No, this is a door. This is a window. All right, whatever window that is, the 1200 by 1200. All right, so we're cut through a window there. We cut through the patio. This is the unrailing that they're talking about, the overhang that is here, 270. I'm seeing something here. I'm not sure what this is as yet, but we'll figure that out as we're going along. That's just a part of it. Then we're seeing a portion of the this main roof here, so the overhang that's going to be in our section, and you'll see all of that, as well as the overhang from the simple portion or the small part of the roof. Now, looking at this here, so this is like a hip. Let me see. Hip and gable roof. So this is like a hybrid roof. So this portion here is a gable roof. Here this part is a hip roof. Here, alright, so this part here, based on how it is designed and from my experience, it will appear that this is actually a flat roof. Alright, so this portion here is a flat roof. Probably concrete or something of that sort. Alright, assumingly. Alright, because you wouldn't have a flat zinc roof, because if it's like that, it means that water is going to run that way or something. Alright, because there isn't any indication of a pitch here. Alright, so we have to assume that this one is a flat roof. Alright, so let's get into things, and we're going to make our way over to AutoCAD where we can do our little drawing. Alright, so let me get my snipping tool, and I'm going to snip a little picture of all of this so I can have dimensions and all that fancy stuff. Alright, so that's what we're doing. Let's go. Alright, and as you can see, I'm here, I'm yapping on a bunch of other stuff, and things are pretty much working out, or should work out pretty fine. I have no worries in relation to this here. So that's the only part that we're going to be doing now. So I'm in AutoCAD now, so let me put my image. On the day of your exam, you'll have this in front of you, so you won't need to worry about all of that. Let me just do a quick scaling. I see my base point, or enter. Let me turn off snap for a little bit, and then select between here and here, and that is 3100. All right, cool. So let's work out our elevation thing here now. Sectional elevation. So what did we cut through? So we're assuming that it stops right here along the wall. So I'm going to show you how you would represent that break in the wall and everything. But let's start by first creating these walls that we would actually see. So we have this wall here. We have this wall here. Well, not wall, but like whatever it is. So let's see if we can do that. Remember, it's looking to our right. So I'm going to draw a vertical line at this point here. This vertical line is simply representing, let's say that it's going to be representing this portion here. All right, that portion. All right, that's what it's going to represent. All right, once I've done so, let me offset this line here to my right by this number here, 3200. So let's offset that. Offset 3200. Yeah, so that is it right there. Assuming that these lines that they're talking about, or this line that represents the wall, is actually on center, it means that I'm going to have a double line running down here. So I think they said that the wall is 150. So I'm going to offset. Let's do 75 on either side just to make things easier. I could use what you would call that, multi-line, but all of that is not necessary. All right, now the next line that I'm going to be drawing is the line that is going to be representing, so I'm not sure what this column here is or what size it is, but we can always check on our drawing to find that one out. Can always find that one out on our specification sheet. Alright, so specification sheet, let's see if we see column. Column is 200 by 200 and it's concrete, so we'll draw that one 200 by 200. So again, for the column, assuming that that is on this corner there, we could assume that it's on center. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to offset 200 millimeters to my right. Alright, like that, and that will represent the column itself. Alright, next line I'm drawing is a horizontal line. That horizontal line represents, it's going to represent the roof in a sense. Alright, the flat portion of the roof. Alright, now assuming that this roof here, we could use 150. Alright, because it was not specified. It was not specified, so we could work with that for this portion here. So let's just work with 150 for now, because I just like doing it like that. Now remember, this side here is actually the overhang that is on this side here, and the overhang on this side here is going to be I wonder if I'm looking at this wrong. If we're looking that way, that means that the column would be on this side. Alright, let me do some magic here. I'm just going to do a quick mirror to flip it. So instead of the column being on the left, it's going to be on the right. And turn on ortho right here. Alright. Oops. Let me do that, try that again. Mirror. Alright, yeah. So now the column is on the right. Alright. So for the overhang, they say that the overhang is actually 270, I believe. Overhang 270. So that's what we're going to be using, 270. So what I'm going to do from here is that I'm going to offset that line by 270. So it's going to be offsetted by 270. Alright. So this will be my overhang. Alright. Now I'm going to be trimming away whatever is on top. Well, not everything, but this portion here. And I'm going to fillet this corner here. Or you could trim, the option is yours. You could trim away that, and that. Alright. On this side here, you know, it's going to be probably like a break or something. So you can decide how that is going to go. But for now, I'm just leaving that as is. Alright. Now that I've add the roof portion, you know that there is going to be an overhang on this side here. So this wall here actually goes all the way up a bit further. How much further? I'm not sure, but let's check our specification to see if any information is there. So we know that the overhang is, let me just make sure, floor slab, yes, foundation. Alright, so nothing is given there, so all of it is going to be up to us. So we'll use the dimensions for our, from our SBA and stuff. So we'll use that from our SBA. Alright, those dimensions that we would have used. Alright, now we know that the overhang for the large portion of the roof, or the main part, is the overhang is let me double check again. My memory is going. The overhang is 450. Alright, so what I'm going to do at this point now is that I'm going to offset 450. I'm just kind of working things out as I'm going along to about there. So I know that the roof of the main part is going to be somewhere along this line here. Alright, how far it is away from this slab roof here, I'm not sure. So what I'm going to be doing is that these line here, that's where the wall will stop, or this portion of the roof will stop. Alright, so I'm going to trim away the horizontal lines right here, like that, because this wall here is going to be where the roof is going to be on. Alright, now I'm going to make a decision now, and I'm going to say that from the top of this roof here to the bottom of the fascia will be about 800 millimeters. 800? No, not 800. We're going to make it 200 millimeters, about 8 inches. So O enter 200 millimeters. Let's just work with that. Alright, so this right here, and I'm going to do fillet this corner here, is going to represent my fascia. Alright, now we know that the fascia is 20 millimeters thick by 200 millimeters high. So that's what we're going to be representing now. So it goes up by 200 millimeter. So if I offset this line up by 200 millimeter, that's where it will be. And we know that the thickness of it, and let me just trim away the top portion here. The thickness of this is going to be 20 millimeters. So if I offset 20 here, and this for this year, if you don't do building technology, you probably wouldn't have guessed or know what was going on and all that stuff they were mentioning. So this is why they say that technical drawing is what complements building drawing or mechanical drawing and all that stuff. Now from there, now they didn't give us any information in relation to the pitch, or I didn't see anything in the drawings in relation to pitch or none of that. So what I will do is that I'll assume, and that is what is going on here, I'm assuming, and I always use this, I'm assuming that the angle of the roof is about 30 degrees. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn on my dynamic polar tracking here, ensure that 30, one of the 30 is on, and I'm going to draw a line from here like this. Alright, let me undo that and draw my line. Alright, like that. So this would be like my rafter. Alright, now a rafter has a thickness. Let's check to see what a rafter thickness is, if we do have a rafter thickness on our specification sheet. Now let's see. We're looking. Alright, yes, so it says roof. Roof material is that wooden lat rafter is 50 by 150. So we're working with 150 for the thickness, just like when you were doing eave detail. That is basically what is going on here. So when you did your SBA, if you did an eave detail, that is what is happening at this corner here. So let me do that. 150, and I'm offsetting this line here down like that. That line there will be extended to touch your fascia board like that. Alright, and then now you know your walls will go up to touch your rafter like that. Alright, now given the fact that it came over a bit, and I'm going to be extending some of it, so assuming that this is where everything pretty much stops, alright, I'm going to be extending I'll be extending things like that, extending it like that. All right, so that's where things will pretty much cut off. All right, now they talk about hurricane strap and all that stuff now, so we have to represent it. So how am I going to do that? And this is the reason why and this will take a bit of time because of the amount of details that you'll have to put into completing this task here. So as you can see, I have my wall there, but I need to show some detail here. So what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is offset down this horizontal line here by 50 millimeter. Now this 50 millimeter will represent my wall plate, just like when you were doing your eave detail. Alright, so we have that there. Next, I'm going to offset 50 millimeters, or 50 millimeters, let's see, 25 millimeters on either side here, because if my wall is 25, is 150, and I want this portion here to be equal to 100, it means that I need to offset 25. You get the maths. Alright, so let's further do some cleaning up. I don't want to rush through this because I want things to be as natural. In an exam setting, I'll breeze through all of this, but given that you are watching to understand, this is the reason why I will talk and try to explain what is actually going on. Alright, so let me just clean up my drawing a bit and trim away that, trim that, and that. So this here is your wall plate. Alright, now also here, as you can see, with my my rafters and everything, things aren't pretty much lining up because the bird mouths that is supposed to be inside of here is not what it should be, because right now you're seeing that the wall is actually going through the concrete portion. We can't have that. So what am I going to do? The option is clear. It's either one of two things. It's either I'm going to be moving up this entire thing here, or I'm going to be moving down everything here. Alright, again, the option would be yours at this point. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to grab onto this and I'm going to move it up just to make things simple, and I'm going to move it to about here, just a tad up like that. Alright, at least this way now, and I want to move it down a tad more a bit as well. Let me just move it down a bit, ignoring, just ensure that everything is lined up, because the distance from here to here has to be specific for the fascia. Remember, we have a 450 measurement to work with. 450, 1 feet 6 inches. Alright, so that will be it. Alright, so now we have to clean up our drawing right inside of here. Alright, so we'll clean out that. So that is what that will look like. Alright, as you know, they talk about the roofing material and all that stuff, so we're going to be adding them. And just to double check, I'm going to be going through to that page so I can see and sort out what I'm doing as we're going along. Alright, so we're going to take a little detour and we're going to move to the reinforced concrete footing portion. So that's what we're going to be doing now, the reinforced concrete footing portion. So we don't know the height of all of this here, so we have to use our judgment on this one. So we're going to use what we did for SBA, those measurements, and we're going to offset down by 2,700, I believe, from the bottom of this roof here. So that will represent the floor level. I'm going to offset that by 150 for the concrete floor slab. Alright, and I'm going to be trimming away the excess on this side here. Now from there, now we need to sort out our foundation portion. Now at this point we have to make a decision. Alright, I'm just going to work with some random measurement that I have here. I'm going to be also double checking with well, I guess it's not random, it's based on things that we would have done. Alright, so as you can see, let me double check to ensure that foundation, so it says that foundation block wall is actually 200 millimeter. Foundation strip footing is 300, that's 300 wide, by 800 millimeters thick. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing. That's what we're going to be doing. 300, 800 thick. So let me just go here just so I don't forget. REC, it is 300 by 800. So 300 in width, tab key, 800 in height. 300. Let me try that again. So it's 300, tab key. What's going on? REC, enter. Alright, so let's go. 300, tab key, 800. Alright, so we say that this is the foundation. I think they have the numbers mixed up, you know. Alright, because I think they have the numbers mixed up. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to, because the first measurement that is referenced is always has to do with the width of the building or the width of any object. But in this case, it seems they have flipped it. Alright, so that's one error there. So here's what we're going to do. Let's rotate it. Because since the foundation wall is 200, it only makes sense that the width of the foundation be 800 millimeter. Why? Because the foundation pad is always going to be 3 times the width of the whatever object it's supporting. Alright, so on that, let's do our foundation footing portion. That is going to be another rectangle as well, REC. Now, the width of this rectangle is going to be 200. Alright, tab key, height of it, I'm going to make it 900. 900. Yeah, let's just make it 900. Alright, regardless, 900. Alright, and let's put this where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to put this right here. Alright, I'm going to draw a line across the bottom of my foundation here as well. I could have just extended, but the reason why I'm doing that, you'll realize what I'm doing in a bit. Alright, so this is going to be the column, I believe. I'm going to be moving this now, snapping it right in the center, and that's why I did it like that. Alright, so this one will line up perfectly. On this side now, on this side, let me trim that away. I'm going to copy this here over to that side, CP, and I'm going to place it right here. Alright, so you can see that this foundation wall is a bit bigger. Alright, now in between, let me just work some magic here for my foundation profile. Alright, and I need this profile to be in detail line. I need something that I can use, yeah, like that. Alright, now, so that's the foundation portion. So let me just double check on the specification. Floor slab, reinforced slab, yeah, 150 millimeters. But that is not it right there. Patio wood floor joist. Alright, so let's do that. Wood floor joist, column and rail. Alright, let's see now. Okay. Column and rail. So let's work back up. So we have reinforced concrete footing, foundation wall. Yes, we have that. So I guess maybe we need to add details here. So this is not too clear. Maybe we need to add details to the footing. Alright, suspended floor, wood joists, wall and columns, windows, patio, rafter, lath, overhang, fascia. Alright, so a lot of this is will have your way. Alright, so let's go now. So here we have window, so let's pop in that window. Using typical or what we did for SBA, the top of the window is going to be about 2100, so let's offset 2100 up like this. Alright, that line will extend this line here will extend to here. Alright, I'm also going to extend it over here as well. All right, and you'll understand the reason next. And then afterwards, I'm just making sure I'm looking at this the right way. All right, looking at it the right. Maybe I need to rotate this so you can see it. RO. Can I? Let me delete this for now so you can see what I'm seeing. Let me grab on to, where is the picture? Here. Can I rotate this? I'm not sure. What I'll do, I'll probably just rotate it on the image and then show it to you so you can see what I'm actually doing. So let me go ahead and rotate. Alright, so this is what it will look like when you're drawing it. So this is what we should be seeing. So let me ensure that I'm showing you why I'm doing it like this. Because remember, you're looking up in the direction of the arrows. So let me go ahead and add this here so you can see. Alright, because I'm sure some persons might have had a challenge with this, but nothing to worry about. Let's see. Let me turn off this. Let's see. Alright, did I select my base point reference? And then here to here, 3100. Alright, so this is what you should be seeing, or we're seeing. Alright, that is what you'll be seeing from this point. So we cut through the window. Alright, so remember that line that we had, that line across the top here, we're going to be keeping that line there. Alright, now this line here, I'm going to be offsetting it down by the window specification. The window specification, that is, I think it was 1200 or something of that sort. Alright, so let me see if I can pull that one up. Pull that one up. Window, yeah, 1200 millimeter, and they gave us the from the floor, you know, so we're going to work with that. So 1200, and I'm going to do that there. So it's actually 300 from the floor, offset 300 right there, 300 millimeter above floor slab. Alright, and then it's 1200 from there, 1200. So let's go at that. So let's offset that up. Offset 1200. This is going to be a very low window. Alright, so that's where it's going to be. So now let's extend them over. EX, enter, send these over there, and then we trim away here. So let's TR, enter, get rid of that there. I'm also going to get rid of this line here. Alright, so this is our window. Now, they did not specify how the window looks and all that stuff, or what type of window it is, so we'll use our judgment there. Typical fashion, what am I going to do? I'm going to offset 50 up and 50 down from this, like this. Alright, then now in the middle, I'll draw a line just to represent what is going on here, like this. Alright, then I'll probably offset that line there by 25 on either side, like this, and this will be my window. All right, now I could also offset 25 on from the outer line to add some depth to this here, and what I'll do, I'll simply do some trimming. So I'll probably trim away here, and possibly here. Hopefully it's still there. All right, so let me undo just a tab. All right, and then I'll go ahead and trim here, and let's get rid of that and that. Hopefully it doesn't mess with down. Why did it has to do that? And then I'll trim away down here. All right, so that's a bug in AutoCAD there. All right, so it will look something like that. That is what I'm using to represent my window. As you can see here, there's a big hole opening right there with the railings. This portion here is actually representing the lintel portion. Likewise here. So as you can see from this standpoint here, there is a railing there. All right, so what I'm going to do at this point now is that I'm going to extend this line here over to represent the floor, this line here over to represent the floor, because this line to represent the floor, and I'm going to do my railing. Now the railing is going to be smack in the middle of here somewhere. Now let's check to see what the railing detail look like. Now the railing, let me double check. I know what's up. The handrail is 900 millimeter above patio floor. 900 millimeter, so we're going to do that 900 millimeter. So let's offset up 900 millimeter. So that is the level of the handrailing. Alright, let me just trim away here so you can see what's going on. Now, depending on what railing you're using, I'll probably just use a smaller number for the width of the railing so things are a bit more defined. So I'll work with 25. So I'll offset 25 on either side of this line here. So, and then I'll probably offset down 50. These measurement here is my measurement. You probably would have used another measurement or something of that sort. Let me use 100 instead. Alright, and let me just fillet the corners. You could have also trimmed the corners, it's up to you. Depending on how much time you have, you could sort that out. So we're at 36 minutes, but that's nothing to worry about. So that will be hit there. So that will be the handrail. So what I'll do now is that I'll probably draw a line now in the middle like this, and then now I'll probably offset it by I don't know, 50. I'll probably use 40 or something. Alright, something like that. And that would pretty much represent my handrail. Alright, and this would be the balusters that are underneath the handrail. Alright, that will be the balusters that are underneath the handrail. And they said that you should label, so that's how I'll do mine. Alright, other things that we need to do are, I'm not sure, let me double check. So reinforced concrete floor, I'm not sure because it mentioned something about suspended floor. It didn't say where the suspended floor. Oh, the suspended floor is the patio. So I'm assuming that the concrete floor that they're referring to is probably the inside of the house. Maybe. Alright. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to be doing the handrails for the back portion here that we'll be seeing. That is here. I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing that now. Alright. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be drawing a line across the top here. Like this. Did I snap to the wrong thing? Let me zoom in. Line from here all the way across to here. Alright. And then I'll copy this here. CP, enter. Grab onto this, put it there. It is going to be smack on this wall here, so I'll just trim away this gap here. Alright, this side here, it seems as if the wall steps out a bit. So what I'll probably have to do is that I'll probably have to offset. Let's just work with 150 or something. Let's just assume that it's 150. So something like that. On that note, I'll just fillet this corner like this. Alright, the rail would stop on the wall, so I'll trim away here. Alright, just like that. And then now, the railing, how far it goes, that's up to you, that's your judgment. Based on what I'm seeing here, you see, I'm just going to divide this line here into 4, so I'm going to go div, enter, and I'm going to click on here and then enter 4, then enter, PT, enter, change it to probably one of these here, just so I can have the reference, and then I'll draw down a line from the corner like this, down like that, and like that. Alright, on that note now, I can now delete these dividers that I have there, which were just reference line. I'll probably just extend those lines up now. Well, let me just offset them by about 50. outwards. I don't know if this makes sense. Probably should leave them. Yeah, I'm going to leave them. Alright, like that. And then I'm going to do some trimming. Trim out here, trim away here, and here. Alright, assuming that this is glass, you know, if you haven't seen any of my video, you realize I don't do balusters and all that stuff. So I'm going to say that this is glass. How am I going to indicate that it is actually glass? I'm going to do something like this. Let me turn off ortho for this. Have that there. Grab onto that, copy. CP, enter, grab onto that there, and there. Alright, and then from there now, I'll just copy this and place it on this side as well. Alright, so that's how I'm doing mine. So this is my rail that you would see here and here. Alright, overhang, overhang. Alright, so we have that, but they say that the concrete slab is I'm assuming they said the concrete slab, so it's going to be the house, and then on here is going to be this would be basically the wooden floor or something. Alright, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be drawing lines over by a certain amount. Alright, let's work with this measurement here. Alright, and then I'll probably grab onto that and copy it down to represent that floor there. Alright, now for this here with the joists and all that stuff, suspended floor, now I'm going to be showing you how we go about doing that now, because I think that is one of the only thing that we have left, instead of adding some more detail that are such as the hurricane strap on this here. Alright, so let's focus on the foundation portion. So let me double check on the information that is given here. So we have reinforced concrete footing, foundation wall, concrete floor slab, on hardcore, so they want to see that on hardcore. So before I move on, let me just do that part there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to offset this line down by 450. Alright, now you can decide what you're going to do here. Alright, I am going to be hatching mine. I'm going to be hatching the gap here. Alright, that's what I'm going to be doing to show the hardcore. So I'm going to be hatching it using I think there's one that is called gravel. That's the one that I'm going to be finding. Gravel. Yeah, here it is, and I'm going to be hatching it like this. Now the reason why I look like that is because of the scale. I just increase the scale to 10. Alright, and you'll be fine, just like that. Alright, let me get rid of that reference line there. Alright, and in here, since it's a concrete slab, you can hatch it. Now there isn't, is there a, I think there's a hatch pattern called AR conch, so you can use the one that says AR conch. That will assumingly be more closer to up here, AR conch. So you hatch that one there. So scale is currently at 10, make that 5. You know what, 1. Alright, so that would be your first slab right there. Alright, so we're making progress. Alright, as you can see, once you have the main drawing fleshed out, everything is pretty much a cinch after that. So reinforced concrete footing. Do they want us to do the reinforcement in it? Alright, so let's just go ahead and do that as well. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do, let me just go ahead and explode this here, and I'm going to be working with this one mainly. So I'm going to explode that, so X, enter. I'm going to offset that by 50, the bottom line that is, by 50. Alright, just like that. From the middle, I'm going to be extending a line up, and I'm doing this in as a single line, all the way up like this. Alright, that middle line there represents steel, the steel if you're wondering. Alright, now from the side, I'm also going to be offsetting 50 as well. And this 50 represents how far away from the edge of the concrete the steel is. I'm going to be filleting the corners. I'm going to be adding a radius to the fillet. I'm going to be making that fillet 6. So these actually represents the links, if you want to call it that. I don't remember how far up they should go, or the formula for the bend. Is it 40 times the diameter? I'm not sure. Either way, it's not important now because you're barely able to see this when it is printed. Alright, so that is that there. Now, I currently have a steel there with the line weighting set up so that when it's printed, it's going to look pretty fat. So I don't need to worry about it right there. So what I can do now is I can hatch all of this here using AR conch. So I'll hatch here as well. I'll also grab onto my steels here, my steel that I just drew, and I'll copy them to the other one that is over here. Alright, like that. Now this way here will stop probably shy of here. And let me turn on OSNAP and then gauge it down a bit further. Yeah, somewhere there. Alright, so that's what that will look like. Alright, now assuming that this is concrete block, I'm not going to mess with it. I will leave it as is. Alright, and I'll just work with whatever else that is outlined here, given that time is limited. So reinforced concrete footing we just did, foundation wall which we just did, concrete floor slab, and on hardcore which we just did. That's what we just did. Alright, suspended floor wood patio joist. Alright, so we're going to be adding that now. Now, depending on how you look at it or how the rafters are placed, similar to how you'll do like a roof or so, we'll have to decide how that's going to go. Alright, now, how are we going to do this? So, assuming that, so there are some things when it comes on to wooden structure, when it comes on to floor, there is something called a bearer or bearer joist. Alright, and I think that's what we're going to be doing now. Now, the whole suspended situation means that it is hanged. Alright, it is hanged from something. Alright, now person will have different variation of how they do their suspended slab. How I do it, and this is how it is done in America when it comes on to like suspending floor slabs and all that stuff. They have some stuff that they call metal, like they call them hangers. They're made from galvanized metal, and they're pretty much like shears that you nail onto wood or nail onto a wall, and then you simply just rest the 2x4 or whatever board inside of it. Alright, so what will that look like here? Now considering that this is I'm saying that this is the floor level, this is normally a thin layer of whatever material it is. Alright, I'm going to assume that that material is probably about an inch thick, so what I'll do, I'll offset down 25. Alright, so you see here it requires some level of knowledge in relation to these matters. Alright, that there, cool. Alright, and you would probably see the foundation wall on the other side as well, given that this is suspended, so these are like pillars, so you basically see it in the background around the other side there. So that right there is the thing that you're walking on, the floor. So if this was concrete, think about this as being the tile. Alright, if that makes sense, this would be the tile. Alright, here I'll just trim away here for now. Alright, now from there you're going to have the board, it's going to be resting on boards. Alright, now what will these boards look like? And I'm going to double check to see the measurement on those, so the joists and all that stuff. I'm going to make mine simple, so let's see if we have anything in relation to this. So the wood joist is 50 by 150. So here's what I'm going to be doing now. Joists. Now there's standards in relation to it, whether, so you'll normally have the bearers running the shorter distance and the joist running the longer distance. So bearers are on top of joist. So what is going to happen, you're going to have some running horizontally like this, and some where they're running the other direction, so you'll just see the ends of it. Alright, both of them we can have them for the same size. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to draw a rectangle so you can see what's going on here. And I'm going to draw a rectangle. I think they said it was 50. Tab key 150, something like that. Alright, now typically everywhere they have different standards in relation to the spacing of roads. So it would be like when you were doing a roof plan and you had how you say this, you add the spacing for the rafters like 600 whatever. Alright, now it can work for the floor depending on the size, thickness, material that you're using. In America they don't go that wide with anything, or in Canada they don't go wide with anything like that. The most you'll probably see them go in terms of like the span of any joist would be like 16 inches. Alright, so what I'm going to do here, I'm not sure how much is 16 inches again, because I'm going to work with that 16 inches spacing. Let me see if I can whip out my calculator. Alright, 16 inches, 16 times 25, that's 400. Alright, 400. So we'll work with 400. Alright, so the spacing will be 400. Alright, so what I'm going to do here, 400. How much is this? Let me divide this here. I'll find out the properties. The length of it. Delta length 2900. So I'm gonna go ahead and divide that to see how much would be there. So I'm gonna go 2500 divided by 400. So we'll have about 6 of them in there, 6.5. I'm just going to divide this line by 6, just to make things simpler. 6, and then now I'll probably grab onto this here, and yeah, let's just move it for now here. Grab onto it here, align it to that. Let me turn off O snap there. Put it right underneath there like that. Alright, right under there like that. One is also going to go CP, grab onto it here, right here. Alright, and then now the rest of it, CP, I'm going to be using those as my guide, and then place them right here, 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 and then finally one will go here. Alright, now once those are in place, I'm now going to divide all of this here. Things are a bit of a mess somewhat here, alright, but that's no worries. I accidentally deleted the wrong thing. Should be deleting that, 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 and this, and this. Alright, that goes. So now at the bottom of this line, I'm just going to draw one all the way across like this. And then now I'll offset that line down by 150. Now let me do some trimming. In terms of like inside of these here, I'm going to be trimming out the middle of them, because it will be in the forefront and the edge of that wall will be in the background. Now this here is an error on my part. Alright, I don't want to restart anything, so that's what that would look like. Now this would be the bearer joist that all of these are actually resting on. Now this here is suspended. How is it suspended? It's going to be held in place by something that we call an hanger. I'm going to be designing my own hanger. What it will be basically, it will be like a rack or a chair. something looking like this in a sense, and let me offset 10 millimeter. Well, that's about how thick they normally are. They will look something looking like that. Let me go down, and there is no measurement to this here, because different manufacturer will have their own thing, you know, in terms of like how it will look. I'm also going to offset the same 10 millimeter from the side here. Let me just explode this. X, enter, offset 10. Alright, like that. And then I'll trim here, and I'll trim here. Alright, just like that. Alright, now on this now, and I'm going to go ahead and trim away this part of the line here. Alright, so basically this actually sits inside of it, so it's like a chair that they actually sit in. So imagine you cupping your hand and you placing a board on it, so it basically suspending on it. So this here now will be, they'll have some holes inside of it, so I'm just going to add a few holes that represent where you'll nail onto the board. So let me just copy this here, one there, probably have one there and one there, 3 nails. That's good. Could probably have one in the middle somewhere here. Alright, so those will hold the board in place. Now it is also nailed or screw into the wall or whatever is here. Alright, so you'll also have some nails in it as well. I'm going to be imitating that, so I'll draw a straight line here like this. Alright, let me just offset that line there by about 5 to represent nail or screw, whatever it is. It's a bit thick, but you know what, let me use 4. Offset it's 4. Alright, like that. Let me just see if I could probably, yeah, let me just fill out the corners to give it a rounded. And then now this is like a nail, so let me just use a rectangle, REC, enter. The width of it is going to be 2, then tab key, height of it is going to be, I don't know, 2, let's make it 4. Yeah, we can always adjust that up a bit. And let me just add a little line somewhere here, or trim away whatever is here. TR, enter, get rid of that. Let me add a little reference line on it somewhere there, and let's move this there. And then from there now, and I'm going to clean out inside of here. Alright, so this could be even further in if so I'm going to go EX, enter, send that there, and then now I'll copy these down, and I'm just randomly placing these like like this, but as I said, every manufacturers have their own specification. So now the joist is actually suspended. It's going to be the same treatment on the next side. So let me just grab onto this here, all of this here. Alright, and I'll grab onto all of this here. Let me unselect this one here, hold down shift, click, and then select. Then I'll mirror it to the other side, like so. Alright, like so. No. Alright, so now it is suspended. Alright, so that is how you would go about doing that. Alright, now as I said before, many builders will do their suspended slab different, but this is the main way how they'll do suspended floors in America or wherever in Europe or whatever. Long as it is wooden, it's a wooden structure. Alright, in the Caribbean they might do it a bit different. They will probably have a strip or a button underneath here. Alright, but as I said, this is how I'm representing mine. Alright, so now to show that these are wood, I'm going to be drawing across to it since this is the end grain portion. So I'm going to be copying these here, CP, enter, and let me just grab it here and place it there and just go through and sort those out. Alright, so at least it is clear when you're printing, you're drawing. All right, so that is it right there. That there. Okay, get rid of this here. All right, so that is it. Now let me go back to my sheet to see what I have to do. So reinforced concrete footing, yes we did. Foundation wall, yes we did. All right, now concrete floor slab on hardcore, yes we did. Suspended floor wood patio joist, yes we did. Walls and columns, yes we did. Windows and patio handrail, yes we did. Rafter, lath, purling, roofing material. Now that is what we need to do now. We have fascia and overhang here, we already have that. So the only thing that is missing is actually the rafter, well no, the lath and the purling. So here we go with the lath and the purling. So let's look and find our roofing specification. Where is it? Roof. Oh, it's a black wall. Roof. Alright, yeah. So here we go. The rafter is that. We already have the rafter. The lath is 50 by 75. Alright, so that's what we're working with. 50 by 75, and plus we have the hurricane strap to add. So 50 by 75, 50 by 75, 50 by 75. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is offset 50 millimeter. This line here, 50 millimeter. Then I need to find a line parallel like this. Then I offset that line there by 75. Offset 75 that way. Alright, so that is your lot. Alright, now the spacing for these, I mean in the Caribbean, or I'm going to say Jamaica, they will space them 600 millimeters apart on center. And again, as I said, in America and Canada and those places, they're not really going to go beyond 16 inches, which is 400 millimeters. All right, but in the interest of time, I'm going to be copying mine on center at 200 millimeters, but bear in mind standard may vary. All right, for those international person watching this one here. So let me go ahead, turn off ortho, turn this on, ensure that the 30-degree one is on, and let's go on center. Let's go 600, enter, 1200, enter. All right, so let's see. All right, maybe we can drop another one, 1200. All right, so that's one is there. Maybe the other one would fall off, but let's find out. Copying it here to here. All right, so it just fit. All right, now on top of that, you're going to have your roofing material, your sheet metal, whatever it is. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to be using this bottom line here and place it there. Thickness of it, I'm going to make it about 6 millimeters. So offset 6 millimeter. That's this right here. That will be the roofing material. Because it's a sheet material. How far will it go? Depending on the type of roof that you have. You might have it extended over a bit more. So let me go here, because technically the overhang should stop at the fascia. But let's see. Maybe we can extend it out a bit more or shift things in a bit. But let's just go by offsetting 25 millimeters this way, so at least we have a little overhang to stretch to. Let's fill at the corners. All right, and let's go here as well. Here's a mess. Fillet. Let me turn the radius back to 0. Let's go. All right, let's leave that there. All right. Now your fascia, what I'm probably have to do is move things up a bit so that all of this here matched up. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go EX, enter, and stretch that one up. Because I drawn this one a bit too early. So here's where that's going to go. Extend again, extend, send that there. All right. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab onto this because I want the measurements to be as accurate as possible. Well, they're not going to be able to tell when we're done with it, but it's just one of those OCD things. All right, let's grab onto here because we're now at 1 hour 5 minutes, you know. So, and remember they said 2 hours. So let's grab onto that and move it right there. All right, so we're there. All right, and let's see if we can move these up. Move that up. See right there. And let's close things off here. Let's have it there. Let's go here. And we're going to move things just a tad more again. Here, here. Grab onto that. That there. Here. Alright, let's move. Now I want it to line up with here, so let me ensure that I use my dynamic tracking. I have to go parallel, parallel. Okay, great. Not to where it should be. So that's what that's going to look like. Inside this space here, you'll probably have filling or whatever material it is. All right, now typically you'll probably have some form of cap at this point here, but we're just closing off that at that end there. All right, so that is what that will look like with the purling and the roofing material. Now the only thing that we're going to do now is to label what needs to be labeled based on what is given in the description here. So we have purling, roof material, overhang. So it says label the components, show 3 vertical dimension, and print suitable title and the scale and all that stuff for the mark. Alright, so let's start that out now so we can get things out of the way within the next 10 minutes or so. So let's go do our labelings. Remember our scale should be, let me just shift this out of the way a bit. 1 in 20, I believe. Is it 1 in 20? Or 1 in 20, so let's ensure that we sort that out. The reason why I'm have to change mine is because I think my environment here is my environment is annotative, so I just want to ensure that all is well and with my thing. All right, or I could just turn off my annotative thing from now. Is it on? All right. Alright, so let's get things going. So the dimensions that we're going to pop in now are what is given to us. So all the dimensions that they tell us about, that is what we're going to be adding. Alright, nothing more, nothing less, because not really necessary. So we have from fascia to that, you know, they told us 900. They told us this one here from the to the bottom of the sill, which is 300. They gave us the height of the window, I think, so that's what is next. All right, it only makes sense giving them the measurement that they asked, that they gave you originally or initially. All right, so other dimension include, you know, here as well, because they told us that. You could also add some other dimensions as well. It says vertical dimension, so I guess they don't care about the overhang, but you know, we can show them that we actually did what they said in. Alright, so the 270 there, and the 4 whatever here, the 4 whatever here. Alright, the 450 there. So we can go ahead and show them that. Now for the labels are what they mention. So so for example, you know, they said the concrete slab thing, concrete, what did they say? reinforced concrete floor slab. Alright, copy that so I don't have to type, and paste that there. So that's concrete slab. Alright, let me just move to my annotation there from now so I don't have any issues and I don't have to change anything afterwards. So that will be the concrete floor slab, and then now we'll probably add another one for the hardcore and all that stuff. So we'll just add those annotation there. So let's put this one here. Alright, so hard core. Alright, and we'll just sort out our labelings. So for example here I'll probably have to move this one over a bit like this, and then line that one up a bit. Like that. Alright. I'll definitely label the hanger joist or the joist hangers, because I want him to see that I know what I'm doing. Joist hangers. Hangers. Is that how it's spelled? Whatever. Alright. Alright, then we can label our joists as well. So we have, so we'll label our joists, and we'll put the measurement that they gave us for the joist as well. The joist floor, patio, yeah, so we'll add this information there. Alright, so labeling, so wood floor joist. Alright, so that would be it, but I'll also add, let me ensure that I go to my annotation tab here. Let me ensure that, can I add? So it's not just these, but yeah, so enter. So it's this, all of those are joists and they're the same measurement. You can label the handrail, the windows, all that stuff, but you don't have to overdo it. You don't want to really overkill the situation of what is going on here. Alright, so you could hatch here as well, just to make sure, you know, that that's probably a concrete slab or something. AR conc, click inside of there, you know what I'm saying. Alright, now this is a block wall, so if you wanted, you could go ahead and draw the block inside of it, or draw the blocks. Alright, so whatever the height of the block would be, and those stuff. Alright, but if you don't have time to draw that, you can always hatch it. Now the hatch pattern you'll use is the one, and this is the one that I often see them using, is, it looks something like that, but it's not that. It will be like this, I think. Alright, this and that. And then you just adjust the scale to 5. Alright. Why did it? Let me redo that. Here, 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 close. Why is it not showing? Alright, but you get the picture of what I'm saying. So you'll hatch that. And that will be basically it right here, you know. We have our dimensions. We have 1, 2, 3. If you want to add more, you can add more. The option is yours. In relation to that, you can add your break line, you know. Alright, so you'll add your break line. So I'll go vertical line all the way down like this, and then this is how I typically do it. As you might already know, I go like this, back out like that, and then like this, and then I trim. But you can actually generate this from tool palette. Tool palette, that's what it's called. Alright, so that will be it right there. Join. Alright, so we're in the time zone, so the only thing that you'll have to do is lay out your drawing now. I believe we answered everything from this section here. I believe we did. So we have all of these here, with the fascia. Oh yeah, let's label the fascia as well. We'll label the components, show vertical dimension, print suitable title. So I believe that's the only thing that's remaining, the title at the bottom. And remember, the title that we're using is the one that they gave us, which is draw to scale, sectional elevation through, that right there. So let me add that. You could use tool palette title, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to be using Word, regular text. Sectional, so sectional elevation through patio at AA, and then below I'm going to add scale. Scale is equal to 1 in 20. Now again, I like when my title text is larger than the scale text, so I'll double whatever it is. So here it is 16. Now I'll make it 120. Alright, let's see, and let's just open things out. So ensure that things are as they should. And I like when the scale is oriented to my right side, and just below, like that. If you want, you can also change the text size and all that stuff, you know. Here it is at Tomahawk. Here is a fancy one that you can use, STY Stylus BT. Alright, fancy. Alright, so that will be it there. Again, as I said, you can label the fascia board. If you want, you can label the fascia board. Fascia or fascia. Alright, board. And the dimension is, I think it's 20 by 200 mm. Alright, that will be it. It's just to label your drawing now. How will you go? Mine set up here, so I'll double tap, zoom out a bit, zoom in a bit, and then I'll set my scale. Let me shift this out of the way. Scale is 1 in 20. So let's see what things actually looks like. And let me do that again. 1 in 20. Alright, so see what it looks like now. Because I'm a bit extra and my title block is a bit overbearing, things are not fitting in. But all of this here, all of this fancy title and everything is not really necessary. All you need is a name and all that stuff on the thing. So you just increase the size of your viewport on that, and everything should fit in A-OK. Alright. Yeah, let me just sort that out quickly. Now, if you are looking at the drawing and you're not seeing this stuff here with the broken line, all you have to do is change the paper. Well, not the paper, it's called line type scale. In this case, you could go PLTS for paper layouts line type scale. And it's currently at 25. Just set it to 1 and it will fix the issue. Alright, and all is would be well. Now you can preview what this will look like. If I go print to preview and go to preview, you'll see exactly what your drawing will look like. Now this is what your drawing should look like, or this is what it should look like. Something similar, something close in line with all of this here, and you should have gotten your full mark for this section here. Alright, so this is what it will look like. Alright, now you could also label foundation wall as well. Alright, so video is currently at 1 hour 18 minutes. Again, please, thanks for tuning into this one. I hope this was an insightful one. If there is anyone out there with the mechanical paper, please do share. Teachers, students, whomever, and I'll be more than happy to complete it. Alright, so this was my first attempt, first time seeing the paper, and this should be your approach. Don't beat up yourself if you did not do it exactly like this. Remember, I have experience. I would know how certain things or some things should look. You might not necessarily have that experience or that knowledge as yet. These stuff are developed over time. Alright, but once you're able to represent it in its simplest form, meaning not even complicated and all that stuff, you'll get your marks and everything will be fine. Alright, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys did whenever marking starts on the 14th of July. Alright, see you in the next one. Again, please leave a like, share, and subscribe. Alright, that's it. Alright, so now that this one is completed, I was going to leave it out, but I'm going to just show you. Alright, so the hurricane strap for here, what I'm going to do for the hurricane strap is that the first thing I'm going to do is, let me just double check, single line. Alright, I'm going to offset this line here by 25, oh, that's too thick, 10 millimeters, like that. Alright, then I'm going to be extending it up a bit, like about there. I'm going to stretch a line over by, how much? I'm going to extend it by 16 millimeters, and then I'm coming back down by about 70 millimeters. This is not standard, if you're wondering, because different manufacturers make their hurricane strap differently. Alright, then now I'll trim away the portion that will be blocked by the hurricane strap, and again you're going to have the nail holes, or where the nails are going to go in, like that, or screws, whatever the builder decides to use. Whatever the builder decides to use. Alright, so, and again you'll have nail holes. Let me just use this as a temp. Alright, then I'll move it up a bit. Move up a bit. Alright, like that. Trim that away. And something to represent the nail. It's offset by 2, maybe 1, offset by 1, to make things simpler. And these are just representation, not actual. I'm just doing this to show you what the general look would be. Alright, so let's trim. Alright, and let's grab onto these CP and let's place on the thing. So you could have 2 or 3, it's up to you. Alright, but this is just what I'm doing, because that is actually nailed onto or into or screwed into the wood. Alright, again, this here is wood and it's the end grain, so I'm going to draw a cross through it like this. Alright, just like that. Just doing that for a little bit of aesthetic purpose. Doing it with these as well, for the purlins or the lat, if you want to call it that. Here. Alright, let me grab onto this CP to copy that, and let's place it where? Here, and here. Remember that line that is there? Let's extend it up to touch. EX, enter, and extend that there. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I don't see anything else. I mean, there's much more you could always do to make things look even better, such as even hatching those foundation walls that I forgot about. Here, here, alright, and here, up the scale to 10. Let's make it 20. Alright, so you'll have that there. Alright, column is there, that is there. If you want, you could even add a beam in this if you want. It's up to you. Alright, but this is good enough based on what we are seeing in terms of like the structure of the thing. Alright, so again, see you in the next one.